Hello, everyone, and welcome to our virtual destination. My name is Rosanna. Today, our group will be taking you on a trip around the world to the beautiful country of Greece, a place best known for its breathtaking beaches, its mesmerizing black sands, the amazing architecture, ancient temples, as well as the collection of surrounding islands. Over the course of this presentation, our group will be going over the many aspects of Greece and what makes it such a popular destination for tourists all over the world. We'll begin with Eric, and he will be going over Greece's history, along with the 8 stages of Greece's timeline. Followed by Evie. She will be discussing travel, exploring popular cities, and tourist attractions. Next, Lupe will take us into the cost of living and what it's like to live there from a financial standpoint. And I think we can all agree, Greece would be a beautiful place to live. Moving forward, Navy will give us insight into their culture and their beautiful traditions. Lastly, Faith will be enlightening us with the beautiful Greek mythology. Greece is a place of many wonders. And as Le Corbusier once said, we are all Greeks. Our laws, our literature, our religion, our arts have their roots in Greece.
There were 8 eras in the history of Greece that defined the civilization known as ancient Greece by historians. Starting with the beginning, the Bronze Age era was when bronze was used to craft tools and weapons to begin trading, leading to the start of civilizations such as the Minoans on the Crete island, the Messenians on the mainland, and the Cycladic in the Cyclades Islands. However, at the end of the Bronze Age, Greece entered its Dark Ages that lasted 4 centuries, only ending in the beginning of the Archaic Age. It is not clear what caused the collapse of these civilizations, but some historians say climate changes and catastrophic events led to that. In legend, however, some say it was the Durians, or sea people, that caused the collapse. The Archaic Age introduced the Greek alphabet, economics, warfare, political ideas, and the Olympics. The Classical Age was during the Greco-Persian War, where after the war, a man named Peter Historia documented the Greco-Persian War by interviewing people who were there, leading the model of history used today. He was also known as the father of history. The Hellenistic Age was during the reign of Alexander the Great and other well-known historical figures like Cleopatra. A mix of Greece, India, and Persian culture combined, leading to the Hellenistic culture that Greece adopted. Roman Age was after the death of Alexander and Cleopatra, where Gaius Octavius, later changed his name to Augustus, took air as the first emperor of Rome, and it helped Greece recover from the physical and economical hardships under the Roman Empire. The Byzantine Greece age is where the Emperor Constantine I took power. The capital went from Rome to Byzantium, which changed its name to Constantinople. Eventually, it was split with the Roman Empire at the west and the Byzantium Empire to the east. During the Ottoman Age in 1453, Constantinople fell to the Ottoman Turks, with Constantine XI Palaiologos dying in battle. The Milite system was introduced, dividing communities by religion and giving limited power to each. In 1821, the Greek War for Independence began and ended in 1929. Years after, they went through changes in government, such as a dictatorship and later a parliament consisting of prime minister, which is currently what Greece has today. Greece today is well known for their rich history and culture with an importance of family values and generous hospitality. This makes Greece one of the best locations to visit.
Greece has over 6,000 islands to explore. Each is filled with different activities and different ranges of tourism. On average, there were 30 million tourists yearly. According to the website Statista, Greece has long been a popular destination for tourists from all over the world, in part due to its ancient culture history and many archaeological sites, such as those in the capital city of Athens. I think what the quote explains here is that Greece has a range of activities due to its history and culture it displays. The most popular cities with the most attractions are Athens, Phera, Ia, and Mykonos. Athens is the capital of Greece, along with the largest city. It is a ton of tourist and travel action every year. There is a wide range of activities to do in Athens since the city has an ancient citadel above the city. The Acropolis of Athens is filled with history and rich architecture, and it doesn't stop there. Along with that, Athens has the Parthenon, which is a former temple of the Athenian Acropolis, in which Greece dedicated to the goddess Athena. Another hot spot is the ancient Agora of Athens. This includes ancient homes, city centers, stores, etc. This is the best known example of ancient Greek life, so it is a really big hit for tourism. One last stop in Athens is the Temple of Olympian Zeus. This is a former colossal at the center of Athens. Now, although Athens sees most of the tourists outside of the capital, there are plenty more to visit. Across the 6,000 islands, there is a lot more to see and a lot more history to learn. Athens just happens to be filled to the brim with history, so it is usually a hot spot. Now, with all this sightseeing, there are also famous restaurants across Greece. Across the islands, there is a range of diverse foods. Some famous restaurants from the islands can be God's Restaurant, Goody's Burgers, and Buffalo Wings and Rings. Greece serves to feed everyone, so the range of food is huge. The nightlife across the islands is also very diverse. Greece is filled with clubs, bars, concerts, festivals, and many, many more. What makes each bar different is the music and character of the place. In Athens, they have a number of hidden bars and clubs. They are local gems that tourists find very amusing. Overall, Greece has a huge number of tourists every year, and that number only grows with age. There is so much culture and history to experience, and because of that, Greece should be a destination for all.
Greece is a super affordable place, especially when it's compared to the United States of America and the rest of Europe. Prices for daily essentials such as food and transport are at least 20% cheaper than the United States, and the cost to rent an apartment is about 70% less. If you're on a fixed retirement income, you'll find that Greece is a pleasant and affordable destination. The dollars go further than it ever has, making everyday and especially large purchases very affordable. Depending on where you choose to settle on the villages, the small villages and the mainland will be more affordable than the center of major cities like Athens and Thessaloniki. Islands can be more expensive than the mainland, but again, it all depends which island you choose. The closer you are to popular tourist centers, the higher prices will be, especially for prime accommodation, restaurants, meals, and entertainment. Location has everything to do with how much you're likely to spend. 3 retirement destinations in Greece are Athens, Chania, and Napolio. A furnished 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in a nice area in Athens and the bustling capital city, it costs approximately $1,200 monthly to rent. Purchasing a home in the same specification would cost approximately $295,000. In Chania, a beautiful neoclassical city by the sea, you will pay around $860 in rent, and to purchase about the same spec, you'll be paying about $250,000. In Neflio, a picturesque city by the sea, the same apartment cost about $860 for a rental, but you will only need around $160,000 to purchase. Utility bills arrive once every 2 months. For an average sized property, you can expect to pay around $45 per month, depending on how much heating and cooling you do. Luckily, the weather is temperate enough for many parts of Greece to open your windows and enjoy the fresh breeze. However, water bill will cost an average of $32 per month. A mobile phone service, compared to the US, it will cost you only about $21.50 a month. You will pay about $45 each month for unlimited internet and basic cable television. The main requirement on obtaining a golden visa is real estate investment in Greece, amounting to at least $250,000 in euros. This is currently the cheapest golden visa program for any European country and allows you to travel in and out of the country with no restrictions. There are no in-living requirements obtaining a legal resident status in Greece, and it can take as little as 3 months from start to finish. If you're not eligible for a golden visa and you are applying for a standard work permit in Greece, instead, you'll need to be sponsored by a Greek employer who will apply on behalf through the Ministry of Labor. On the other hand, if you're planning to look for an employment and you don't speak Greece, it will be quite a struggle. If you enjoy eating out, a meal for 2 people on average at a restaurant, including a glass of wine, will approximately cost $40. An average grocery budget for 2 people a month in Greece is about $350. For people who don't feel like cooking but are on a budget, they can try food takeaway places, options for freshly prepared meals on the go. These meals are usually enough to feed 2 people and range anywhere between $5 to $9. Ferries are a very popular intra-island mode of transportation. Over the past years, with the growing fuel costs, ferry tickets have risen. An economy ticket can cost around $32, but lately it has climbed up to $40. There are some good news for those permanently living off the mainland of Greece. Permanent residents of certain Greek islands can sign up to receive rebates up to 50% for travel to and from Athens by ferry. Taxi fares have also risen with the cost of petrol. It costs $4.30 for the minimum taxi ride. The base fare is $1.95 and 97 cents per kilometer of daytime rides, $1.35 between midnight and 5 a.m. The average fare for a taxi ride in the Athens is quite reasonable, approximately $7.50. Especially if you're sharing a ride with a friend, it can definitely be more affordable. Owning a car in Greece can be a good option for those living in remote places without a large public transportation system. Used cars can be economical to buy and insure. Asking a trusty mechanic if he knows of anyone selling a car could turn up to be a real gem of a reliable older car. For example, a used Fiat Panda will sell for around $4,300. Once you buy a car, insurance is inexpensive compared to the US, at approximately $150 per year. There is also license plate renewal every year that can cost about $260. The cost of petrol drives up to the cost of owning a car at $2.10 a liter, which is about $2.10 for a fourth of a gallon. Of course, distance are smaller and your budget will depend on how much you drive. Electric cars have also appeared on the island or the mainland, along with electrical bikes, which may be a better option depending your budget. As far as medical care in Greece, it is generally excellent, especially in major centers like Athens. In more remote parts of the country, you may find the level of English spoken by your doctor to be pretty standard, and it may be a bit of a hit or miss. Emergency healthcare in Greece is free regardless of nationality. For non-emergency, most people opt out for more private healthcare, which provides better quality and shorter wait times than the Greek public system. Pharmacies are abundant throughout the country. Greece has more pharmacists than any other nation in Europe. Greece is said to be one of the safest countries in Europe and has an easy easygoing and relaxed feel. However, as far as tourists, they should still be careful of their belongings.
In today's society, we have many objects, foods, holidays, clothing, and even traditions that we have obtained from other cultures, such as Greece. Some of you may know simply from previous history classes that Greece is a major influence on different parts of the world in many different factors. Greece has influenced us by their holidays, such as Easter. They've also influenced us by their architectural styles, such as something as small as the use of columns and pediments. Now, I've only mentioned a few things, but as I continue with my speech, you will learn about different cultural ideas and traditions in Greece. As I briefly mentioned before, Greece architecture is now extremely widespread in today's society. Greece introduced us to symmetry and proportions in our buildings, and this is caused by a belief that symmetry will bring balance and harmony. The Greeks mainly used some of the architectures, such as columns, pediments, and pillars, and even capitals. All of these are different types of structures that we still use today in buildings. In fact, buildings in the United States, like the U.S. Capitol and the White House in Washington, D.C., are examples of Greek architecture as seen in the slideshow presented. Something that many of us have in common is sports. Greece had a major influence on how we view sports today. Every 4 years, people from across the world stop and watch what we call the Olympics. Well, in ancient Greece created the Olympics. The ancient games had events such as foot races, jumping events, discus, and javelin, which is known as our track and field events today. In the article, The Ancient Olympic and Other Athletic Games, written by Alexis Bell in June of 2021, states that the venue for the first modern Olympics in 1896 also held athletic games in Equity. Every 4 years at the end of the month, early August, the Athenians gathered to celebrate the greater good and extended a more elaborate version of the city's most important annual festivals. Held in honor of its patron, Athena, this event became one of the most important festivals of international competition outside. Now, while we don't celebrate the Olympic Games due to our own patron, we still do celebrate and hold Olympic Games every 4 years. There are many traditions in Greek culture. Some are more common and traditional, such as a man asking his girlfriend's father and family for permission to marry her. However, this is a bit different. According to Traditions in Greece and Islands, written by Greta, the couple will exchange rings that will be worn on their left hands, and after the wedding day is complete, they will be worn on the right hands. In Greece, the engagement period may also last 4 years, since they must make a commitment to their new family. In fact, this is a custom that is still very alive in Greece mainland and is a part of its local island regions. Now, the most important holiday to Greek culture, which is Easter. Easter is considered to be the most important celebration for the Greeks. On something they call Good Thursday or Good Sunday, the women would dye eggs in red and bake buns. On Good Friday, which is considered to be the day of mourning, the tomb of Christ is decorated with flowers and is taken to the church and carried around the village, followed by a slow procession, where believers will kiss the image of Christ. During the Holy Saturday, everyone will dress nicely and attend church ceremony just before midnight. All lights will be turned off, which symbolizes the darkness and how silent it is inside of the tomb. And the priest will then light a candle and sing Palms Christ Ascending, which means Christ has risen. Lastly, the Good Sunday, which is Easter Day, and the families will now roast a lamb. As you can see, Greece has a ton of different traditions and styles that we will use here in America. Even though there are a ton of different traditions and major impacts that Greece has instilled upon us, I have only mentioned a few of these things, but as I continued with my speech, you learned about different cultural ideas and traditions in Greece that we still use here in America.
Greek mythology was a central point in Greek culture. Not only was it their version of folklore, but it was also a form of religion to the ancient Greeks. It was so important to them that they based their art, their literature, what they learned about in school, their style of government, even their city plans off of Greek mythology. You name it, all of it was based off of this form of religion in some way or another, as it was a huge influence in Greek culture. Greek mythology was originally passed down orally. That means the tales were only told verbally before authors like Homer decided to write them down in books like the Iliad to immortalize these tales. The central point to Greek mythology was the pantheon of gods. It was a polytheistic religion that worshipped multiple deities. The big three of these deities are known as Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon. Zeus was the king of the gods, and he was married to Hera. Hades was the ruler of the underworld, and he was married to Persephone. And Poseidon was the ruler of the oceans and seas, who was married to a lesser-known goddess who was also part of the seas. These three were all brothers, and Zeus was in charge of them all. Mythology does not only include the gods and goddesses, though. It also includes heroes, demigods, monsters, and many other creations like the Pegasi and the Minotaur. It also tells stories of great minds and evil people that we can learn from. The home of these gods was known as Mount Olympus. This mountain was supposedly the tallest mountain around. So tall, it reached into the heavens, and the gods lived atop it so they could view all of the mortals from above the clouds. They would look down upon us, as it was told, and watch us, like people watching, like how we do today. And the gods would make their decisions and decide whether or not to intervene in human lives based on what they saw. These interventions and these decisions that they made are what we know as Greek mythology. It is retellings of these stories that involve the gods. Not only was this their folklore, it was their way that they passed on lessons to each other. That's why it became such a religion to them. On Encyclopedia Britannica on January 27th, 2024, the article states that myths were viewed as embodying divine or timeless truths, seamlessly summarizing the cultural significance of mythology to the Greeks, because their mythology is how they taught lessons from the beginning of their cultural start. These myths were not just myths, but they were the central points and truths and morality to Greek culture. And this morality is what they based the rest of their civilization upon. It was part of their structure. And that's why Greek mythology is so important to Greek culture.
As we bring our adventure of exploring this beautiful country to a close, it's important to remember how Greece has changed and how much of an influence Greece had on America and our world today. Over its history, it's transitioned through multiple ages, starting with the Bronze, including the Roman, and ending with its modern age. Over its history, many important events took place, including the contributions of important individuals, such as Socrates, the spread of Greek culture after Alexander the Great, multiple battles, and Greece's War of Independence. Greece today is still a beautiful country, with many landmarks and tourist attractions with cities like its capital Athens, Pheida, Aea, and the island of Mykonos, and popular destinations such as the ancient Agora of Athens, helping to attract over 30 million tourists per year. The country's ancient architecture is found in many prominent U.S. buildings and went into the design of the capital of the U.S., where the pillars and columns, originally from ancient Greek architecture, were included in elements of its design. The world's principles of democracy can be traced back to ancient Greece, where they pioneered the simple voting system. We can thank the Greeks for bringing us the event of the Olympics to the world, which are held every 4 years, and can also thank ancient Greeks for their contributions to our modern mathematics by forming the foundations in geometry and trigonometry, and algebra, which form a foundational part of applied math, helping us build our modern world. It's important to remember and be thankful for the contributions and influence Greece has had on the world today. Many Greek ideologies made their way into our world and are continuing to serve humanity in excellent ways. It's just like Le Corbusier said, we are all Greeks. Our laws, our literature, our religion, and our arts have their roots in Greece. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this virtual destination to Greece, as we'll see everyone next time. Adios.